Awesome. So first thing, you can make your documentation any format you'd like. For this example, I'm just going to work with A4 landscape because that's nice. Right, so in Illustrator, I'm working in CS6, so things might look a tiny bit different if you're on Creative Cloud. Alright, so firstly, set up your document. So, I might just delete the examples. I tried to do this last night and forgot to record the audio, so doing it again this morning. File, new. Alright, so we want A4, we want landscape, well I want landscape. Make sure your units are set to millimeters, and your advanced options, drop those down, double check you want CMYK because we're working for print, and 300 PPI, DPI, whatever. Make sure this is not selected, the Align New Objects to Pixel Grid. That will stuff you around, so if it's ticked, untick it. Yeah, don't use that. Cool, 3 mils of bleed, this is a standard, industry standard. And give your file a name, so I'm just going to call mine example 2, because I forgot to delete example 1. Awesome, there we go, okay. And I now have my lovely artboard set up. Now, I used to make grids using guides in a very complex way. I read a tutorial last night that showed me that I've been doing it the hard way my whole entire life. So, this is much faster than the way I usually do it. So what you want to do is click on the rectangle tool, because we want to make a shape. Right, I'm just going to make it red so you can see it. Alright, I'm going to just draw one. Alright, under view, make sure you've got smart guides turned on. This will allow your objects to snap to other objects, to guides, to the artboard. It's very useful. So turn that on if it's not already on. First thing you want to do is drag your box all the way to the edges of the artboard. With smart guides turned on, it will want to snap. Fantastic. There we go. Okay, we now have our shape. So I highly advise against ever running artwork or whatever content right to the edge unless you want to use it as an accent or a background feature. So particularly text, I would not run text to the edge of a page. So you have what we call a margin or gutter, page edge border thing. Right, so with the object selected, up the top you'll see width and height. Deselect the constrain button if it's turned on, because we want to do a bit of math in here. So I'm going to add a 10 mil border around the edge of my page. So to apply 10 mils to either side, we actually need to subtract 20 mils. So I go take 20, so it's minus 20, and then hit enter. There we go. And then I want to do that for the height as well. So minus 20. You'll notice that it's gone 0. Oh, I've done something weird there. I'm just going to undo. 0.002 here. You just want to change that to 2010, and then minus. Oh, you can delete the millimeters. 2010 minus 20. No, 210 minus 20. Awesome. That did nothing for some strange reason. 210, enter. 210 minus 20. There we go. That's what you want. Awesome. So we now have a consistent border running around the edges. You can now go ahead and lock your object. Doesn't really matter. Okay. With the object selected, what you want to do is click this object menu up here and drop down to path. And you want to use split into grid. This saves so much time. Alright, so split into grid. Click this little preview box here. This will allow you to see things changing as you apply them. So I'm just going to use a simple rule of thirds grid and subdivide that into 6. So rows, 1, 2, 3, nope, 3. So there's our thirds. Columns, 1, 2, 3, nope, 4. Columns again, columns, rows, thirds, lovely. I want to just do that a little bit further, so 1, 2, 3, 6. So you can see we've got our main thirds as well as these subdivided thirds. want to go ahead and do that again here with the columns. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. Okay, so next thing you want to do, I'm going to add some gutters. These will act as padding in our grid. So gutters of, I think 5 mil should result in 10 mil. Again, experiment. Have a look. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm happy with that. I think it looks good. Yeah. It's entirely up to you what you want to do here. Like if I were to go all the way to 10 mils, we'd have quite a lot of spacing between elements. Whether or not you want that is entirely up to you. I'm happy with 5 though, so I'm just going to leave the gutters at 5 mil. Okay, which is a multiple of the 10 mil that we've got running around the edge. So I tend to work in multiples is best. That just generally results in something a bit nicer. Awesome. Once you're done, click the Add Guides option as well. This will be very useful for you. So what you want to do is go ahead and click OK. So now we've got our grid made. Fantastic. I'm just going to deselect it all so you can see. So we've got these boxes here with these lines running up and down. The lines are rendered as strokes and they're all grouped as one object. So I'm just clicking and dragging to move it around so you can see that they're all one object. I'm just going to undo. What you want to do is select all the boxes and delete them. So you can simply click one under select, same, fill color. It will select all of them and then just hit delete or return on your keyboard. Delete or backspace, whatever. Fantastic. Okay, now we have all our guidelines. The issue is to use them as guides, we actually need to convert them to guides. At the moment, they're just rendered as strokes or lines. So I'm just going to click the whole entire group. Under the View menu, Guides, Make Guides. This will convert these strokes into guidelines. Then you'll be able to use them like guides. So guides act a tiny little bit different to strokes, so make guides. There we go. They'll convert into guides, which by default are cyan. So they're all locked at the moment. So any guide related options are just up here in the View menu. So if I unlock the guides, I can now click them. They're all a group, so you might want to ungroup them as well. So object, ungroup. There we go. And then if now I can click them individually and move them around. Probably don't want to move them around too much, especially because they're going to act as the basis of your layout and your design. Okay, so next step, you can build a far more complex grid inside this, which I might just show you quickly, but I generally tend to work just off this grid. I watched a tutorial last night that showed how to develop a bit more of a complex grid, so that was quite interesting. This can be useful for aligning type, etc. So I'm just going to show you that really quickly. Alright, so another rectangle. Do ensure that your guides are locked so you can't move them around. So View, Guides, Lock. Lock them when you don't want to touch them and unlock them when you want to edit them and move them around. So I'm just going to drag a box here, convert it to a fill, so just swap the stroke and fill over. Okay, what I'm going to do is drag this box to the corner of my first part of my grid, my first third. Make it the whole entire size of that third. Again, take into consideration the page edge border, etc. Okay, with that selected, I'm going to do this subdivide grid again. Path, Alright, where are I? Object, path, split into grid. Okay, so first thing, the tutorial I read talked about a grid with 4 millimeters. I thought that was quite nice, 4 millimeter squares inside it. So first thing you want to do is you want to divide the total height of your grid by 4. So I'm just going to do some quick math. 190 divided by 4, 47.5. So let's try that, 47.5. Just preview that. And then we want to divide the total width by 4 as well. So 89 divided by 4, 22.25. That's 22. Oh, something weird went on. There we go. 21. Okay, yes, these are off by point something of a mil. You want to keep the gutters at 0, and you want your width and height to be relatively the same. These are very, very close together. They're like 0.3 of a mil off. So basically we get a really nice grid of approximately 4 mil squares in here. Okay. Oh, before I OK that, oh, sorry, just going to redo that. Split into grid. 22.25. So what was that? 22. What's my other one? 190 divided by 4. 47.5. There we go. Preview. Make sure you've got add guides turned on as well. So that's what you want to do. Fantastic. Then you can go ahead and go OK. So again, select one of these little green boxes. Select same fill color. Delete them. So your guides again will be grouped. So what I'm going to do here is just mask them out. This is quite useful. So going to draw another box, convert it to a fill. I might just change the color of it quickly to red. Make that the same size down here. Alright, so with the box we've just drawn and the guides we've just made selected, that's fine to leave these as strokes as well. They're just going to be used for visual purposes. Okay, so with both of those selected, so you can just either highlight both of them or hold shift and click one and then click the other. Both of them selected. Now, because the square, the rectangle, is on top, we can use this as our masking object. So to mask whatever object is on top will form the mask, basically. So both of them selected, object, clipping mask, make. Ta-da! This basically just cuts all the guides and puts them inside the defined area that box was. So this will prevent that annoying, all those lines being all over the place that were annoying before. Yeah, fantastic. So we now have our little grid here. What I'm going to do is just click on the box I've made. You can see the clipping path as well as the content. So the clipping path is the containing box and the contents are all those lines inside. So if I click that, I can now edit them inside the mask. I just want to leave that alone though. So I'm going to select the object and edit, actually no, go down to your layers palette. If it's not there, window layers, but mine's down here. I'm going to name this layer grid. Alright, I might copy the grid across. So if you hold the Alt or the Option key on your keyboard with an object selected, you can click and drag and make a copy of it. If you hold Shift, it will prevent it from moving around as well. So I can click and drag that out holding Shift as well as Alt Option. Or you can just copy paste as you usually would. Lovely, we've got our grid set up here. I'm going to lock this layer and make a new one. Call it artwork. There we go. So this will allow me to turn that layer on and off. This also has my guides on it. Fantastic. You might even unlock the layer, unlock your actual guides. Command A. Select all the guides. No, I don't want that. How do I select all guides? Command A, I think that selects everything. Yeah, it does. Then just hold Shift once you've Command A'd and click on those 3 boxes. It will deselect them. I basically want to edit and cut the guides out, put them on a new layer. Just call it guides. And then edit, paste in place. Okay, I'm going to lock that. I'm going to put the guides on the bottom, then the grids above them. Lock that too. This will just give me a bit more flexibility. So layers are very useful. Use them. Awesome. Okay, so grid is set up. Fantastic. Looking good. What else? You might, yeah, I think that's everything in terms of grid. So next thing, multiple artboards. This is such a useful feature. Not a lot of people have actually used it before though, in this unit anyway. Thus far, you might have. So artboard tool is this one down the bottom here. Shift O, didn't know that. Right, so if you click the artboard tool, it will allow you to edit the artboard, this thing over here. Shows you presets, orientation, etc. What you want to do is click this new artboard button here. Click it. As you drag your cursor back into the working space, it'll load a new artboard. So I'm just going to hold spacebar and work down. And then you want to drop the artboard in the same positioning as the one above it. So smart guides will help here. So you can see this green line just above the corner, the top left hand corner of my new artboard. That will help you line it up with the one above it. So once you've got it in the right position, you just want to go ahead and left click on your mouse. There we go. Drops the artboard. Fantastic. I now have two. You'll notice that the artboards have artboard 2 or artboard 1 and a number next to them. That artboard 2 is just simply a name. You can call that whatever you want. You might call it like title page, page 1, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But the number is what's really important. So the number is the order in which the pages are exported or printed as. So do make sure that you're working, in the correct order. So you don't have 1, 3, 2, 4, 5. You can move them around into whatever order you want. That will purely just affect what you see though. It won't actually change the order of them. So do make sure that you're not working out of order. I've done that before and it's awful. Okay, so this now we have 2 single pages. This is great, but if you would like to work with facing pages, so this is really useful if you want to run artwork, say like across a spread. So I might have an image, for example, like I might have this, just turn it into a fill so you can see. I might have this and I might want half the image to be in this part of this page and the other half to be, to the left of the next page. This is very difficult to do if we're only viewing our pages, one at a time. So what you can simply do, I'm just going to delete that, is new artboard again, and just simply drop it exactly next to. So not on the bleed line, you want to bring it right to the edge, like right here. You can see how they're touching now, okay? And then click it to drop. There we go. So these artboards are now exactly next to each other. You can see which artboard is active. When you click into it, it gets this faint black line around it as well. So when I click into this one, this has a faint black line now. So make sure you have the correct artboard selected. So this is where Illustrator gets a bit frustrating. It doesn't copy our grid across. So what you can do is simply unlock that grid layer. And this little button here is no, we don't want grid. I'll show you with guides first, then we can do it with the grid. So unlock it, and this little button over here, this will select everything on that particular layer. So when I click it, it just selects all the guides, which is very useful. Or you can just Command A, because that's the only thing on the layer. Anyway, we're going to go Edit, Copy. Okay, this is very important. I currently have this artboard selected, but I'm copying content from this artboard. So this is going to stuff up your positioning and stuff. So make sure that you have the artboard selected with the guides on it. So I've just clicked this very first artboard here. You can see the faint black line run around it. All right. Try it with the wrong artboard selected and you'll see what I mean. It'll screw with your positioning. So with the correct artboard selected, select all the guides with this little layer option down here. Now we're going to go Edit, Copy, move down. So I'm just going to select my second artboard and Edit, Paste in Place. Ta-da! Copies and paste all our guides into the exact spot. We want to do that again. We don't need to copy it again, it's already copied. So you just want to click onto your third artboard now and Edit, Paste in Place. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that great? Okay, so this is why we use guides rather than strokes in this instance. It will allow things to stay in their correct position. Okay, I'm going to lock that guide layer again, so I can't edit it. Alright, I'm going to unlock the grid and do the exact same thing with the grid. So, selecting into the artboard that the grid is on, selecting all of the grid, edit, copy, getting rude text. Alright, then click into the artboard you want to paste the grid into, and then edit, paste in place. Click into that third artboard, edit, paste in place. There we go, fantastic. I now have my guides and my grid all set up. That took 10 seconds. Awesome. So, multiple artboards, grids, fantastic. Next thing I want to show you is the paragraph and character styles options. These are very, very, very powerful when you're working with text. So, firstly, I'm going to just grab some TV show I'm watching. Lipsum off the internet. This is just filler text. This will be, you can generate this in InDesign if you want to. So, I want some Lipsum, just generate it. Gonna copy all of it. Alright, so first thing you need is a text box. Make sure you're on your artwork layer, so just click it so you can work on it. If you click onto one of the locked layers, you'll get this little new pencil. Right, text box, there we go, I'm just going to make it that big. Paste, so edit, paste all that text into there. So, I'm going to start using the grid we've made now. I'm just going to add a title. I might call that fake title. Fantastic. Right, dragging it to the corner of my grid. I'm going to resize the text box. So, and I might bring the bottom of it down to one of these guidelines here. There we go. Lovely. Oh, maybe the next one. Here. If it's getting too hard to see the difference between your guides and your grid, you might unlock the grid, select it all, and just drop the opacity down to like 70% or 40% even. There you go. It's a lot subtler now. And then lock it again. There you go. Because you want to be able to see the guides a bit more than the grid. The grid's just there as a way to assist with lettering and alignment, etc. Awesome. So paragraph styles, window type paragraph styles. Mine are already open over here. We want paragraph and character styles. They usually come packaged in the same little box. Okay. First thing, I'm going to just select this type so you can see the changes happening. You can either just select the text box itself or double click into it and highlight some of it, but I'm just going to edit all of it. So first thing we want to do is make a new paragraph style. It pops up here, doesn't do anything yet, we haven't changed anything. So if you want to edit it, you can either click onto it, this drop down, and paragraph style options, or you can double click on it. If you double click on the name, that will simply just allow you to rename it. You want to double click in this blank space to the right of it. Okay, firstly going to give it a name, body, copy. So paragraph styles will help you to define very clear and coherent styles for the type you're using in your website. No, not website. Documentation. Getting my subject confused. So, if you make a style for body copy, stick to it. Like this is, not to limit creativity, it'll actually enhance the consistency of your document. First thing, you want to work with a font family that has plenty of style variations. I don't know, we can talk further in class about it. I'm going to use Founders Grotesque for this one, because that's a nice one and it costs a lot of money. Okay, so under basic character formats, so by default we're in general, basic. This is where you'll do most of the work. So make sure you have this little preview box ticked as well, because this will show you the changes happening in the background here as you edit them. It's the only way you can really see what you're doing. So define the font family and the style. So for body, I might work with regular. Click through them, see how they look. Medium's very heavy. I don't think I'll do that one. Regular's nice. Okay, deselect these two unless you want underlines. Maybe for headings, probably not for body copy. Size, I'm just going to leave it at 12 point, which is the default. Okay, so leading is the spacing between our lines. Talked about this in class. By default, it's set to auto, which is calculated through a mathematical equation based on the size. So as I increase or decrease the size, the leading will adjust automatically. So I might change this to 14, and you'll see it, condense a little bit. I might change it up to 18, so it spreads out a bit. So the difference between auto and 18 is a little bit. So I think 18 is nice. You can read that quite well. What you also might want to do is adjust the leading so that the baseline, so this red line running underneath it is called the baseline of my type, is sitting on one of each of these grid boxes. That might be something you want to look into. That's what the grid's actually there for. So I might even make the leading smaller. So, never sacrifice legibility for aesthetic. You want to be able to read this thing. You want it to look nice, but being able to read it is actually more important than it looking nice. But you should be in a happy medium between the two. So something that looks good and is functional as well. That's what you're trying to achieve. So kerning, I've talked about this. It's the individual spacing between combinations of letters. So the L and the O here will have different kerning to the O and the R, and the R and the E, and the E and the M, and the I and the P, etc. Probably not anything you want to worry about for body copy, and you probably adjust this manually for headings if you want to. That's entirely up to you though. So I just, by default it's set to auto, I just changed mine to optical, makes it a little bit nicer in my opinion. Tracking again, the same amount of spacing applied to all the letters. So if I change this tracking to 75, it'll all spread out. I don't know what unit of measurement this is using. It's some magical Adobe thing they've made up. But basically, you probably don't want to use tracking in body copy. You might be really sneaky and drop it onto 5. This is, again, something you can play around with and experiment. Okay, so you'd probably use tracking and kerning for like headings, subheadings, decorative titles, quotes, anything like that that you want to really draw emphasis to that needs styling. You don't style body copy too much. Case, so you can actually force, by default it's normal, you can force all caps. Again, probably something you won't ever do for body copy, please don't. Perhaps titles, subheadings, etc., etc. So normal. And you can also look at small caps, but again, it's so hard to read. So normal, nope, normal. And position, normal, turn that one off. There we go, we're done here. So then you can look at all the other options here. You'll probably only really be working in the basic character formats, and you might just quickly look at the hyphenation and the indents and spacing, etc. So advanced character formats, again, probably I've never really touched this before. You can play around with the options. Indents and spacing, so this is where you can set your alignment. So by default we're set to left. I would never ever ever center align body copy. It makes it extremely difficult to read. Center aligning like a title is fine and sometimes looks great. Right align as well. Remember in the West we read from left to right, so this does start to cause some issues when the type's all running ragged on the left. Justify as well. Justify can be really nice. It will spread your text out evenly in the allocated text box. The issue with Justify is if you've got sentences of quite long words or certain sentences, what it will do is create rivers. So I think if I do full Justify, you'll see here we go. So this last word has now been broken up, when I turn on full Justify. So sometimes this happens with words, like multiple words rather than just one, but it creates like a massive gap between the words. So if you want to use Justify, fantastic. It can be really nice, but do make sure that you can still read the body copy, okay? So you got left, center, and right Justify. This will left, center, or right align the last line in a paragraph. Full Justify will always stretch it all the way, which is the problem here with our title and with this bottom sentence. So I might just leave this on left Justify because that's actually quite nice. You know, left or left justify usually. In special cases, center and right. These are just, you know, guides. Tabs, probably leave that alone. Oh, you can also adjust the indent. So you might, I don't know, indent the first, I don't know, leave the first line standard and then indent the rest. You know, you can make rules in here. Space before and after. Play around. Tabs, I usually leave it alone. Composition, I've never touched that. Hyphenation, so important. Turn off hyphenate. So see these hyphens here? They're breaking up the words. It's auto hyphenate is always turned on because of, you know, setting up type for newspapers. I don't know why it's turned on. If you can find it in your settings to turn it off, then do so. Click that. Make sure there's no tick in this box so that hyphenate is turned off. If I turn it on, you can see it. Turn it off. There we go. Hold on, my cat is whinging. She wants to come in. I'll just be back in 2 seconds. Okay, sorry, back. Alright. So that is character styles, basically. You can even adjust the character color here if you want to. And there are some advanced justification rules, but you probably won't spend too much time in here. So once you're done, you just click OK. And there we go. We have our first paragraph style made. I'm just going to quickly make another one. And because it's, you know, I'm working in the same typeface, I'm just going to make a copy of this one here. So just with this style selected, drop down menu and duplicate paragraph style. I'm just going to highlight the title. So I'm only going to apply this to the title over here. So with our new style selected, with our title selected, I'm going to double click and edit it. So I'm going to call it headings. I'm going to adjust the font size. I'm going to change that to something like, I don't know, 20 point. Lovely. Founders Grotesque has multiple versions, so I'm going to use the extra condensed and I'm going to make it light. This is lovely. And Koenig, yep, good. Alright, I'm going to force caps in my case, and I might do 200 tracking. Look at that, isn't that nice? I love a condensed light with a lot of tracking. You can even manually type numbers in here, so I might even go as extreme as 300. Oh my gosh, can you give it an underline? No, that's awful. No underline. Fantastic. So once that's done, you can simply just go OK. And there we go. We now have our headings. So if I highlight some of this body copy, I can apply headings to it. My computer's doing a weird thing and applying the heading style to the rest of it. Yours should work properly. I don't know why mine's gone strange. Anyway, so fantastic. That's all done. Actually, I think if you go normal paragraph style on everything, then you can go in and manually, like, I might just make that headings. No, I don't know. I hope your Illustrator's better than mine. Good. So you can just break up the text boxes if you want to have different styles within them, but these two seem to work fine together. If you're having issues, Google is your friend. So, awesome. Next thing is linked text boxes. Actually, no, character styles as well. So character styles will override paragraph styles. I only really use them to make like italicized or colored versions of things that I really want to emphasize. So in here, it looks exactly the same as paragraph styles. I want to make I'm just going to highlight some type to show you the changes happening. Let's zoom in a bit as well. Okay, so I might want to make these words like magenta and italic or something like that. So new character style. I'm going to call it like color accent. So edit it exactly the same. It looks very similar, just with less options. So basic character formats. If you don't change any of this, they won't override anything, but if you do, it will start to, like, you'll see, keep preview ticked as well. Founders, and I might go light italic. There we go. So, or regular italic, because the version in the body copy is regular. So this will just italicize anything I apply this character style to. I can leave everything else alone though. It will automatically inherit the same properties as the paragraph styles. And you can change the character color. That's what I tend to use this for. And go, okay, there we go. So now anything I highlight and I want to give it this colored accent, there we go. Or we can just turn it off, on, off. Fantastic. So character styles, paragraph styles, very, very powerful. Right, link text box. So you'll notice that the text box I'm working in has this little red plus down the bottom. There we go, red plus. So this basically means there's more copy, more text inside this text box than the text box can actually hold. So link text boxes are really, really, really fantastic, particularly if you've got like a lot of content and you want to break it up and run it across the page. So if I simply click on this little plus, which I've just done, you'll notice the cursor changes to this little arrow with some lines in it. This has now loaded the rest of the type inside the cursor. So you can either just click in your artboard and manually readjust, or you can actually position it using the cursor yourself. So what you want to do is, I don't know, figure out where you're actually going to put this text box first. I might run it here from this top corner of this column. Yeah, so just moving it very slowly. Click and drag down. I might run it all the way to here. There we go. And release. Once you release, actually I might run it all the way to the bottom. So once you release, you can obviously adjust it now. So I think if I zoom in, it's gone a bit funny around my grid. I might, oh no, it's exactly running to the edges. Fantastic. Okay, yeah, so immediately these two are now dynamically linked. So if I edit anything in this first text box, like if I delete this line, watch the middle one, some of the content will disappear. So they're dynamically connected, and you know, if I highlight from here down, see, it wants to jump over here because you know this is the next part of the type in the sequence. Really, really, really useful feature. Okay, so I think that's everything with dynamically linked text boxes that I wanted to show you. They can be very useful. You can run them across separate pages. So even if I, you know, put this text box on another artboard, they're still connected together. It doesn't make it, see, that line really emphasizes that, doesn't it? Okay, very, very useful feature that you might not have known about. What else? So next thing I just want to show you is putting it all into practice, really. So what I highly recommend doing is not having, you know, not typing your documentation into Illustrator or InDesign or whatever you're using. I would type up all my, you know, what you're actually saying, all your copy, in Word or Pages or some word processing program rather than Illustrator, because it was not designed to, you know, do word processing. It's designed for design and layout and illustration, etc. So, you know, I've just got some copy here in an example with Word. I recommend doing it that way. Save your document and then you can copy and paste it, because you'll get, you know, spell check and grammar check and stuff like that. And it doesn't matter what typeface it is in Word, because the beauty of paragraph and character styles is once they're set up, save your document as well. Save. I'm just going to save mine in this example folder. Yes, lovely. Okay. Once your paragraph and character styles are set up, you can use them as many times as you want. It's very simple to just simply, like, obviously highlight different bits of text and apply the different styles to them. Unless your Illustrator is broken like mine. Okay, so I'm just going to grab this copy it, and paste it into Illustrator. Firstly, I'm just going to delete these text boxes to get rid of all the styles and stuff applied to them. And just draw a new one, paste my copy in there. Alright, I'm just going to turn on normal paragraph style. So sometimes you'll see that had a little plus for a second. If you just keep clicking it till that plus goes away, it will just delete all the styles applied to this particular text box. And now we are back to very, very normal. So I'm going to position this down here. There we go. Using my grid and guides, etc. Right, I'm going to highlight this and make it my heading. I'm going to highlight the rest of this and make it, actually I'm just going to highlight this part and make it body copy. Lovely. I might move this, you can minimize it down. Here we go, rest of it. And I might highlight all this type. And actually I might have another heading in here. Call it process. Highlight that. Headings. Highlight this. And apply body copy to it. So look how quick and easy that was to get all my styles applied. Okay, I'm going to put this, say, here, just for now. Right, next thing I'm going to do is bring in some images, so show you how to do that. So you can like open them in a folder and just drag them straight in. That's a bit messy. Keep all your files together. It'll help you structure and organize everything. So in Illustrator, File, Place. Just quickly, I'm going to show you something very important. So I'm going to grab this image here. If you have link selected, it will dramatically reduce the file size of your Illustrator document, but it will also mean that that image is not actually embedded in the document. So this image file will need to go wherever my Illustrator example 2 file goes, unless I embed it. So, you know, pick what you want to do. It's very small because it's from my website. Okay, place. There we go, the image is now placed. So with the image placed, it's automatically selected. You'll see up the top here the file name, the color space, and the resolution. So you want to make sure your color space is CMYK. Just because our Illustrator document is CMYK does not mean that the images we put inside it are, because this image was not made in this Illustrator document. So this image was made in Photoshop. So, you know, open the images in Photoshop and change the color mode in there and save them or whatever you want to do. And make sure that your resolution is 300 because we're working for print. Okay, but if you've got vectors made in another Illustrator program, you can simply just copy and paste them straight into your Illustrator document. Right, so I'm going to resize this, holding shift to constrain the proportions, and align it inside the grid like this. Cool. Okay, so you can mask this image as well. You can draw a square or a box like so. This is just a way of using the grid, basically. So I might drag this square to the corner here, bring it out, and all the way down to this edge here. I like to make my mask red so you can really see the difference. So with this image selected, you can see that the resolution increased because I actually made it a smaller image, but the color's still RGB. So do go into Photoshop. I'm just going to make it a little bit larger again so you can really see the mask. Alright, I'm going to put it behind over here. So if you can't figure out how to get something in front or behind, first layers, but if you've got multiple objects on the same layer, you can click one, object, arrange, and bring to front, bring center back, bring forward or backwards. So this will move them forward and backwards in increments of 1. This will bring it all the way to the front and push it all the way to the back. Okay, so with that, I'm going to highlight both of these and go object, clipping mask, make. There we go. If I double click into the mask, I can click on the shape inside and edit it. So I'm going to hold shift and resize it so I'm not cutting too much of the image off. And I can use the arrow keys on the keyboard to move it around, and it will only move it around inside the mask I've made. Okay, and just double click in your artboard to get out of that group. There we go. So that's that lovely image placed now. I might bring this over here. And don't be afraid to break the grid you've worked with. Like, for example, I don't have to just run down these thirds. I might run across this way as well. like so. Ta-da. It's still within thirds, like it runs from this edge of this one all the way to the edge of that one. So it's still using the layout we've created, and I might bring this down. Oh, I'll bring the bottom of it up, so it's not in the way. I might bring this down here. Okay. Hold on, can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, bring the top of it down so it is flush on that guide, this one here. There you go. Lovely. File place, and I'll put in another image. I might put in this process image. That's massive. Okay, so this is a Photoshop document file, and it's in CMYK. So this is what you want to see. CMYK 300 over here. So, all right, I'm just going to move it away so I can see what I'm doing. I might use another image mask, just dragging a box. Oh, I made two, whoops. Okay, I might, again, make this red, easier to see. And stretch it all the way out here. There we go. Okay, want to mask this out. So I'm going to select both of them, object, clipping mask, make. There we go. Alright, so I'm just going to turn the visibility of my grid and my guides off. Look at this lovely layout we have just made. Isn't that nice? So you can see how working with a grid can create really strong layouts now. So you might, I don't know, run this image across the spread here as well. This is what I was talking about before. Okay, so you might, I don't know, this is your left page and this is your right page. If you've got massive binding, this could look a bit shit, so you don't want to do that. And then, yeah, so you can have the image running across the page spread, which is really nice, I find, sometimes. Use with caution. Good. So that's how to do grid alignment, multiple artboards, paragraph character styles, and actually putting the grid into practice. So I hope that's been useful for you. Finally, I'm just going to show you how to export it all as a high quality PDF. So firstly, save. Make sure you are saving as a native Illustrator file, because the way I export the PDFs is, does not allow you to edit the PDF once you've exported it. So, you'll be editing your Illustrator file. So always save the PDF as. So you should have this as your original file. Never save over your original. Okay, non-destructive editing. All right, save as PDF. Okay. Alright, once you've done that, then that's all you need. Save. First thing, you want to use the high quality print preset. Okay, this does a lot of the settings already for you, and you want to deselect preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. What this will do is dramatically reduce your file size, but you won't be able to edit it in Illustrator ever again. So this is why we save as for a PDF, because you got your original Illustrator file there if you do want to make any changes to anything. Okay, then compression over here, you just want to double check that this is at 300 for these boxes. Okay, image quality is on maximum and you're on JPEG compression. Okay, next thing, marks and bleeds. Okay, you want to use the document bleed settings, that 3 mil, you'll notice it turns to 3 mil, that 3 mil we've set. And you want to turn on trim marks. This will put crop marks, trim marks, whatever, at the edge of your artboard. So it will tell the printer to actually trim off the bleed running around the edges. Okay. And I think that's all you need to do. So you can go ahead and save PDF. It will compress it. Then if I open here, you can see the PDF I've made. Just double check it. Everything looks nice. That's quite blurry. I might want to fix that up. That's just because the image was taken on an iPhone, so don't do that. You can see the crop marks applied to the edge. Fantastic. There we go. Cool. So you'll need to save a version to upload as a soft copy to Blackboard as well. So to do that, again, file, save as, PDF. I'm just going to call this example to web. So this is the web version. You can convert everything to RGB if you would like to, but it's not that important. The soft copy is purely just for reference purposes. So save. High quality print again, and deselect that again. On compression, you just want to change all these to 72. Okay? Like so. 72 is the resolution for the screen. Okay, and you do not need the bleed or the crop marks for this version. Awesome. So, yeah, when that's done, you can just go ahead and save. So you want to double check. So this is my web version. Sometimes the images look a bit crap when we reduce the resolution to 72. You want a very small file size for this one though. So if I get info, 279 kilobytes is very, very small. I would have nothing bigger than 5. 5 megabytes is an absolute maximum for your PDF. So you might want to file save as. I generally have about 10 PDF versions by the end of this, just getting the quality right and the file size right as well. Yeah, that will remember our previous settings. So I might change this to like 120 instead. There we go, 120. Save PDF. See what that one looks like. So this is only 569 kilobytes. That's still very small. And I'll look at it. Yeah, the quality is much nicer. So the other version, this image was quite pixelated. There you go. So that's a small file size with a lot of quality. But remember, this is only one page. You will have many more. Okay. Fantastic. I hope this has been useful for you. And I'll see you all in class. Have a lovely week and all weekend. Bye.